Hello, hello, and welcome to day 4 of the 12 days and 12 ways, 12 little gifts that I'm going to be sharing with you over the next 12 days. So this is now day 4, and I invite you to just welcome in, first of all, but to just put all your distractions aside for the next possibly 15 minutes and just be still. Be still here with me now in this present moment, because I'm going to share 2 of my secret power amino acids that are my go-to, and certainly a lot of my clients go-to place to instantly calm the nervous system when we're in those sort of hyper-vigilant or very hyper-aroused states. My mother loves rescue remedy. I'm a big fan of amino acids when we use them in a very functional and integrative approach, and of course by asking your body if that is a good energetic match to it. And I'm also going to lead you through a short meditation just to build on what we have been speaking to over the last 3 days on being triggered, especially by family dynamics and old unresolved trauma that's really ready to come up, especially during this beautiful portal between the 1212 Stargate and the beautiful solstice energy that is coming on the 21st of December. So just to recap quickly, please say hi. Let me know why you're here. If you're getting any value out of this, and lovely to see you, Ellie and Sue. And if you're listening to this on the replay, let me know why you're here, why you're part of this tribe. And as we build anticipation for the Biology to Bliss, just how to get out of stress-free video series that I have been loving it curating and putting together since April of this year. So this has been a very long labor of love and kind of like birthing a baby. That'll be coming your way on the 4th of January. And this is the group where we're going to be doing some really healthy co-regulation together. So if you know anybody that you think may benefit from this, invite them in, because I say this all the time, we're traumatized through relationship. So the only way that we get back into this place of trusting ourselves, trusting our bodies, trusting in others, trusting in life, and that the universe has our back is through relationship. All right, so let's dive in. So just to recap, as I said, on one day, we started off lovely and gentle. I shared a tool that I was using, some pranayama breath work, which I call the humming bee breath. My mother calls it the crazy humming, because it is a very internal process of just shutting out the outside world and listening to that vagus stimulation and that vibration permeate every cell of the body. Really quick way to get out of overwhelm, especially if you're feeling ungrounded, and just get back into your body from a place of orienting to the room or the environment that you're in, and knowing that you create your own safety. On day 2, I asked you to set down any unnecessary tasks that you have been beating yourself up and judging yourself as bad, awful, terrible, mean, and meaning making yourself probably into oblivion. I know I was certainly doing that, and I've been sharing what's been coming up for me and the tools that I use in the hopes that it'll help you to really stay focused just on your next priority from a space of total allowance and acceptance. And why I believe that allowance, that really open-heartedness of allowing people to make their own choices and being there to support them when they ask, is I think the biggest lesson that we're all here to learn, and that we can't do that without trust. So yesterday, we wrote down, I certainly shared some examples with you of what I was giving up, including projections, rejections, expectations, and judgments and decisions, and all the ways that I separate out and fragment and leave my body All right, you can't be present. You can't create your beautiful future if you're not present in your body. So yesterday I encouraged you to write a love letter to yourself and just make a commitment to all the things that you're going to give up and you're setting down and you're letting go, and to just feel what it feels like to do this sort of simple act of inch by inch is a cinch, yard by yard is hard. Letting go process. You know, I think sometimes when we talk about the big concept of surrendering, that it can feel a little bit vague. So writing things down, writing down your intentions on what you're giving up is a beautiful way to sort of deepen in and expand into that place of surrender. So this brings us to day 4, and as I said today, I'm going to guide you through a very short meditation where you can just remember that you and this present moment is perfect and whole and complete exactly as it is. And I know you might be rolling your eyeballs and saying, no, it's not, but trust me on this one and your body's feedback on this one. Everything is happening for you. And everything is exactly as it needs to be as we go into this acceleration of reintegration and closure, right? Releasing what we're no longer willing to take into a new decade, and certainly into 2020, without being overwhelmed and shutting down or going to sleep again. Because I think as humans, we're very prone, aren't we, to overreact to negative circumstances, that negativity bias. And I'll post that on the comments below. If you haven't listened to, I did a video a while ago on the negativity bias and also on the positivity bias, so that you can get the duality and the contrast of what both of those feel like in your body. And also knowing that by harnessing the power of responding versus reacting is your way to be more prepared, to accept the truth of things exactly as they are, and also things beyond your control, so that you can really settle into true bliss, which really is, you know, in the biology of stress to bliss series that I'm bringing to you. This is what we're talking about when we speak of bliss. It's not something out there that's not tangible, but something that is within you. It's always been there. It's part of your blueprint. And that is your true nature, your true presence, your blueprint, your wealth blueprint to thrive. That all comes from a very pure heart-based intention. And just running back again round to 2020, we've been preparing, we've been waking up very, very slowly. We've been going at the pace of our body, not at the pace of our mind, if you're part of my nervous system tribe. And we're not able to live asleep. Any of you that have tried, once you're awake, you're awake. But this is really what the energy of 2020, I believe, is calling us into, is to stay awake. And we can't be awake if we're not safely embodied. And I think also that we're being, you know, energetically impacted all the time. I've got more clients than ever at the moment that are calling for emergency sessions because their cat is in renal failure, or their dog has suddenly developed tumors, you know, or they're losing their loved ones who are choosing to leave right now. And I think that this brings us back again to everything that my body of work stands for, which is coming back to the heart and really giving of our time and our precious resources and our beautiful concerns into how we're being energetically impacted by the death and the destruction of the natural world, of animals that are dying, and the health of the planet, you know, and the health of our water systems. We are part of nature, and this is again coming full circle round to the death and the rebirth cycle. We have to know that we are made of water, we are made of the earth, and we need to honor and claim sovereignty to ourselves, to our bodies, to self-love enough to take care of our body, of our own internal climate, if we're going to affect change on a bigger global scale. And I think that is what 2020 and beyond is about, that we're coming back into our humanity. And we're going to start taking more and more aligned action from what would love do from a space of empathy, of compassion, of deep listening, and of emotional connection, so that we can change those things that we're concerned about, especially in regards to the non-human species of animals and nature and living bodies of water. Everything to do with Gaia, of Divine Mother. And I think more and more as well, more blinding clarity is going to come through for us, where we're going to be going deeper and deeper, because we have more capacity as our nervous system comes online to be able to examine our shadows with more curiosity and stay in our intuitive truth. So that it becomes our new normal to trust our gut, right? That gut knowing. We need a strong gut microbiome. And I go into this in great depth in most of my work. And I encourage you, to tell your truth with a whole heart. And we're going to be doing more and more of that without the fear of consequences, without the fear of what other people will say, or of some punishment or persecution or vilification, which is all that old 3D template of the old patriarchal ways and the old programming. And I think this is why it's important, as your nervous system starts to reset, and you've probably been doing a lot of resetting. If your family's starting to come in, my daughter arrives on Tuesday, as you know, and I'm a little excited, and I'm also a little interested, I'll say, because I'm not willing to go into concern of what isn't, but just very aware that things can get really charged when you get your room full of 4 generations of family dynamics. So it's important, as your nervous system resets and as we continue to upgrade on this sort of very cellular, visceral, sixth sense level, these old patterns of disease and distrust are going to be interrupted. We can't bypass this. We have to feel it in order to heal it. And it's not always going to be bliss. It's going to be uncomfortable, because your shock and your trauma systems are going to be activated. And this is where all the tools I've been sharing, especially being out in nature, being grounded into your body, and doing things like somatic breath work that I share in my Breathe Fully process, and meditation, and anything that is so much, so anything to do with your body, whether that's a dance or stretching or yoga or pranayama, or whatever your body's being called to. It's going to support you more now than ever in integrating these shock and trauma systems of what was that's not there anymore. I remember once going out from my factory when I owned a furniture manufacturing company in Cape Town on a Saturday afternoon to get in the car to go off to buy some lunch for the staff, and I walked out the front door and I got such a shock, because my little blue City Golf, which is always parked in the same place every day, wasn't there anymore. And I know that's a little bit of a silly example, but that's kind of what I'm talking about when you start expanding out into how much shock we are when the familiar is no longer familiar. It's no longer there anymore. So a big part of that too is, allowing yourself to sit in the waiting room of grief, to sit with grief and give grief a voice, give grief a sound, give feeling and words and energy to the heartache that you're feeling, because this is the only way that we get to come back into this heart coherence, and then, as I said, heal the collective heartbeat of Gaia and the collective consciousness of humanity. So on that note, I'd love to know what's coming up for you. I just want to have a look at the comments here. So if you have any questions, just let me know. But before we get into the meditation, where we're going to really do a very quick and simple practice of getting really still and turning your reactivity into heart responsiveness, I want to just share one of my secret power amino acids that can really support your body or your nervous system return to calm, to just let your nervous system come down off that hyperarousal back into this rest and digest phase. And of course, always know that this is not a replacement for medical advice or replacement to anything that you're taking, always check in with your doctor if you're on medication, or check in with your body's natural intuitive intelligence, because your body knows. And if you're new to my work, you won't know that I use a very functional and integrated body, mind, and spirit approach of lifestyle. We look at healing on all 5 levels of body, mind, heart, spirit, and we incorporate everything into a personal prescription for health that is unique to you, just as your blueprint is unique and your animal's blueprint is unique. And that includes an approach of lifestyle medicine, nature is medicine, and also the latest cutting edge neuroscience, so that you get the results that you're looking for and the rapid transformation. It doesn't have to take you years to have bliss and to have more safety online, and certainly more abundance in every area of your life, including your money flows. So instead of throwing the kitchen sink and trying to band-aid symptoms, I don't do that. I don't diagnose or prescribe, but I use the innate intelligence of the body to test for my clients what supplements and dietary changes, like using targeted individual amino acids that work really quickly in this individualized approach, to help my clients not shut down when those shock and trauma systems I was speaking about, as we integrate and become more awakened into our truth in 2020, are going to get triggered. Some people call this a healing crisis. I call it a healing up leveling. And we need to thank our bodies and go into active appreciation for the feedback that they're giving us. So, are you ready? My go-to, and something that I carry in my purse, I have it wherever I am, is the amino acid called GABA. Not only has it work effectively, as I said, when you muscle test, I know my body normally says two capsules, sometimes it's only 1, but is to open up the capsule and put the powder sublingual, so underneath your tongue, so that it is rapidly absorbed into the blood, right? It's got a very sweet taste. It's easy to use it that way. And not only does it ease anxiety straight away and stop sugar cravings, but it really helps in getting that deep restorative sleep. And we all know that sleep is one of the most vital elements of healing that our body needs. And a lot of time, if you're in that anxiety, hypervigilant, or rumination, that excessive amount of worry that so many of us empaths and HSPs who are picking up everybody else's stuff are doing all the time, GABA will be a life-changing addition to add to your life. It helps you focus so that you can really tap into your intuitive processes, and it helps for things like meltdowns or ADHD or anxiety. So it's more anxiety. And also what I love to add to that is tyrosine, right? So using a combination of GABA and theanine really together, that improves sleep and really takes a lot of my clients who have pylorus, so this heightened anxiety that looks like OCD or ADHD, or just can't settle, and it's just it's mind-bendingly craziness. It really will just help to reset your nervous system as you do the rest of the work. I've also seen a combination of GABA and tyrosine, DPA, and glutamine is another one that's really, really good. I've got my web designer at the moment. She's trying to detox and come off of sugar and gluten, and oftentimes she has skin conditions that happen. So if you combine GABA with DPA and glutamine, it's going to assist and support your body to withdraw from the gluten and the sugars, and it certainly helps with psoriasis or skin conditions, and it definitely helps with anxiety and depression. So have a look at that. You know, a little side note on that too is I'm a big cheerleader for good old ascorbic acid. Again, depending on where you're at, muscle taste, but for me, I have most days where I will take upwards of 12,000 CPUs of ascorbic acid, just because it's another great building block that my body thrives on. It helps with anxiety that's caused by a lot of lead or heavy metal toxicity. And when you combine that with tryptophan, you've got a very potent mix. But if you'd like some support in you know, getting an individual prescription of what your body needs in this moment, we always look at innate priorities, and it's always based on what you need now. So that's my little spiel on individual amino acids. Again, I'm always very mindful of using resources wisely. And I just think that if you're taking too many things all at once, you don't know what's working and what isn't. So I always encourage my clients to just start with one at a time, right? So almost do an elimination kind of diet, take everything away, do a little detox. We set up, again, the right tools in the right order at the right time so that you get results that work for you. But I'd be happy to help you in getting a lifestyle prescription set up for you. If that interests you, you know where to find me. All right, so now we're done with the mental part and the physical body support of today. I want to first of all just go back to this whole thing about what it means to respond versus react to the mind, right? And also to define bliss, again, as your true nature. It's your essence, right? It's your spirit. It's pure love. And we experience this in moments of kindness, of loving connections with others. A lot of times we can experience this when we're using plant medicine as our teachers, or we're out for me, it's out in a field with horses, or out tree bathing in the forest, or places where I'm just like in with a herd of elephants, just observing them grazing and their interactions. It's very much a blissful state, and one that can be achieved very quickly, certainly through the trust process, which I teach. But mindfulness, meditation, whatever it is for you, you know, I want you to just remind it that bliss is in you. You are made of love. It is your true nature, and in fact, you know, as I said, you are bliss, and that bliss is love, and that bliss is conspiring for you to know your nature intimately, which means that in every situation and every circumstance you experience, it's presenting you with an opportunity to discover and to rediscover your true nature from this place and of wonderment, right? Of the inner curiosity of your child parts, that you are bliss. You are bliss, you are bliss, you are bliss. And of course, I know that this is much easier said than done, which is why I always call this practice of identifying with your true self the deep inner shadow work. Many people refer to it as a practice because it is years and years and years of unlearning, of unprogramming, right? Of unhooking, of disentangling yourself, and also calling back your fragmented parts, where you've been conditioned and programmed to see life as anything but bliss, that life is a scary place, that the world is not safe, that people can't be trusted, that you have to work hard for your money. And so, of course, you know, a lot of people's reaction or aversion to bliss is to react to that ever-changing nature of life, which is not always going to show up the way that you want. So in other words, that, you know, when something that you regard as positive happens to you, you know that you react to it with joy, with elation, with expansion, right? You just feel lighter in your body. Perhaps it's relief, or perhaps with a superficial feeling of bliss. It temporarily makes you feel as though you are in the flow of life. Ease, joy, and glory, right? The flow, you're going with the cycle of life rather than against it. Or that maybe you're in sync with the universal wheel, right? The medicine wheel of life. The feeding cycle of traditional Chinese medicine, and the right knowing, it's just that, again, that intuitive trust that you're in the right place at the right time effect. And yet when something seemingly negative, right, occurs, something that you don't like or you don't want, thank you. Yeah, that's great. I've got some people coming, giving me little messages here, which is a little distracting, but I'm trying to look at the camera and I keep seeing these beautiful little love notes. So thank you for that. But gosh, that's what you call a pattern interrupt. So yes, a lot of times when we don't feel like life is flowing, that we're not in our groove, we're not going with ease or joy, and there's certainly no elation or celebration there in the glory bit, we quickly lose this feeling of bliss, and then we start to be very prone, don't we, to react with dread or angst, or we become very anxious or angry, or very fearful, as if we've made a terrible, terrible mistake. And remember, there are no mistakes in life. There is only like taking something and trying it on and going, oh, that wasn't what I expected, or that doesn't align with where I am, and letting it go to make room for what is. So just know that it's not your fault. That we've all been running out of this old programming, and these persecution programs, right? The vows and the oaths and the unconscious places where we've hooked into that we're running out of time, or we're going to get punished, or something bad is going to happen. And I know this one well as an adult child of an alcoholic parent. You're always waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it takes that daily practice to change this. And I think that the differences in your emotional state are based mainly upon your external circumstances like that. It's always an indication that we've been deeply influenced or defined or identified, right, in the I am by our external circumstances and these programs and the stories that we're still telling, right? The meaning making that is holding us back in that perpetual cycle of abuse and trauma. So just know this is conditioning, places a lot, on our moods and our emotions in the driver's seat at the whim of the various people and places and things that we've crossed paths with on a daily basis. And this conditioning can very quickly and very easily block you from being able to experience that inner bliss that I'm talking about when it counts the most, when we need it the most, and which is in our daily interactions. It's so beautiful. The wind is blowing out there, blowing away all the old energy, and the sun is shining. So excuse me for taking a moment to just orient myself to the room as I talk about this. Of course, it's activating some of my trauma pathways too. And I think I love, the ritual that I practice all the time and I teach my clients, which is to just push pause on the world and take a breath and orient yourself when you feel like you're kind of needing to react or protect or defend yourself based on your attachment wounds from childhood. And I think it was Warren Buffett that says that, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and only like 2 seconds to destroy it. So just know that whenever we overreact, it's because we're not identifying with our true nature. We're not in our bliss state. We're not in our heart, right? And the inner work we can practice is to find space in between that occurring and our reaction to it is commonly referred to as detachment. But, you know, the attachment requires judgment as we identify what is worthy, what is meaningful, you know, what is of value, you know, on where we place our attention. So this is where we're going to go into this little short meditation today, where we're going to just lean into and get curious on a level of detachment that's going to allow you to practice more acceptance and allowance that everything is perfect just as it is. So instead of reacting, I invite you right now to just stop multitasking if you've been listening to me and wrapping your presents or running around the shops. And if you're not driving, right, if it's possible, just get yourself in a really comfortable position. Uh-oh. There is someone at the door. Give me 2 minutes and I'm going to come back in. I need to get this because there's someone picking something up. All right, I'll be back in a sec.